Okay, welcome to the lecture on section 3.2, synthetic division, the remainder and factor theorems. We started this in class. We looked at an example of numerical division where I divided 6 into 7,952 and saw how that's similar to division of polynomials, where here we're dividing x minus 6 into x to the third minus 3x squared plus x minus 7. So the first step was to see that in order to multiply x and get x to the third, I needed x squared. And then I multiply x squared times x minus 6 to get x to the third minus 6x squared. And then you subtract. So x to the third minus x to the third is 0. Negative 3 minus a minus will become plus. Negative 3 plus 6 will be 3x squared. And then I drop down the x. And then I look at 3x squared and x and see that I need a 3x to get 3x squared and distribute minus 18x. Subtract, you get 0. 1x minus a minus becomes plus 18x will give me 19x. Drop down the 7. And then the 19 will give me 19x minus 114. Subtract, get a remainder of 121. And one way to write the answer, we have the quotient is x squared plus 3x plus 19, and the remainder is 121, but we can write that the division is equal to the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor, is another way to write it. Okay, the division algorithm says that if p of x and d of x are polynomials, when we're going to divide d of x into p of x, as long as d of x is non-zero, we can do that, and there exists unique polynomials q of x and r of x, the quotient and the remainder, such that p is equal to the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder, where r of x is either 0 or the degree is less than the degree of d of x. You can stop your division, you have the remainder whenever you reach one where the degree is less than what you're dividing into it. So p of x, the thing you divide into, is called the dividend. The one you divide into it's the divisor. The part of the answer you get is the quotient, and the remainder is what's left over. Okay, so here we have example 1. We're going to divide 4x to the 5th minus 2x to the 4th minus 28x to the 3rd plus 33x squared plus 20x minus 26 by d of x, 2x squared plus 3x minus 7. We're going to find the quotient and the remainder. So I have that worked out here, where I take 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 and divide that into the larger polynomial. So the first thing I do is I look at the leading terms. I look at the 2x squared and the 4x to the 5th and try to decide what do I have to multiply by to get 4x to the 5th. Well, I need 2 times 2 to get the 4 and x to the 3rd so that I get x to the 5th when I multiply. And then I do 2x to the 3rd times all of these, gives me 4x to the 5th plus 6x to the 4th minus 14x to the 3rd, and then I subtract. So these cancel out. I get negative 2 minus 6 gives me negative 8. Negative 28 minus a minus becomes a plus. So negative 28 plus 14 will give me minus 14x to the 3rd. And then I drop the rest down. Then I look at negative 8x to the 4th and divide that by 2x squared and get negative 4x squared. Distribute, multiply here. We get negative 8x to the 4th minus 12x to the 3rd plus 28x squared. And then you subtract. These cancel. Negative 14 minus a minus plus 12 gives me minus 2. 33 minus 28 gives me 5x squared, and I drop down the rest. Then we divide into negative 2x squared. We see that we need just a negative x. Distribute. We get negative 2x to the 3rd minus 3x squared plus 7x. Subtract. These cancel. 5 minus a minus 3 is 8x squared. 20 minus 7 is 13x. Minus 26, we drop down, and we do one more step. 4 times 2x squared will give us 8x squared, so we distribute. We get 4x squared plus 8x plus 12x minus 28. 4 times 2x squared plus 3x minus 7 gives me 8x squared plus 12x minus 28. Subtract. The 8x squareds cancel out. 13x minus 12x gives me 1x. Negative 26 minus a minus 28 gives me plus 2. And so x plus 2 is the remainder, which has a degree less than the quadratic here. We have power 2, power 1. We stop. There's the remainder. There's the quotient. Okay, so back to the slides. We looked in class at an example of synthetic division to see that all of the numbers we need the coefficients, these numbers will always be exactly the same, and we need the -6, the 3, the 9, -4. So this is all embedded in synthetic division, where we just list the coefficients. We have 2x to the third minus 7x squared. I have to put in the 0 for the x if I don't have an x term, and plus 5, the constant. And then I put a 3 out here. When you divide by x minus c, you always put c out here. To divide by x minus 3, I put positive 3 out here. And synthetic division says you drop the first number and then you multiply. So I drop the 2, and then 2 times 3 gives me 6, and then I add the column to get -1. Then -1 times 3 gives me -3. Add the column to get -3. -3 times 3 gives me -9. I add the column and get -4, which is the remainder, and these are the coefficients of the quotient. 2x squared minus x minus 3. It always starts at 1 degree less. We divide it into 2x to the third, so this will be an x squared. 2x squared minus x minus 3.